The original, The Godfather. The media that inspired the next generation of artists to push things forward. How does it hold up on a more critical viewing? I haven't watched the show in years, but it has set the benchmark for me for stories like it going forward. The world building, the humor, the actions, and the characters. The mold that others set to break to define their own style. It was poured and set into place as an ideal here with the original Dragon Ball. Let's talk about what I'll be reviewing here. It will be the first 28 episodes by Funimation, the English dub. I'll be taking information as it's presented in order. So things that are presented in the future of the series won't be impacting what I'll be critiquing here in the first 28 episodes. But the first thing I want to talk about is the opening music video and the ending music video. The opening song does a great job setting the tone for what early Dragon Ball strives for. The love for the journey and adventure. The first shot has the Dragon Balls fly through space by what looks like the sun. The flames give us the vague shape of Shenron before the shot ends. 6 of the balls pass by the screen before the final one. The one-star Dragon Ball joins the dragon text and logo. The dragon graphic fades over the ball. A nice little hint of what these balls do, even in the opening. On the same side of the screen the sun was on in the first shot, it appears again while revealing our hero, while the balls pass by him. Carrying over the concept between the two shots in two different ways while being able to drastically change the setting. The shots feel connected because of this and work well together. And the one that sits next to Goku is of course the 4-star Dragon Ball. I hope I don't have to explain why this shows that the creators really thought about the opening, but I will go over it in my breakdown of the plot for like the 10 people in the world that haven't seen Dragon Ball but are watching reviews of it. The next shot shows Goku freely roaming in the sky and capturing his joy. A small unbeat sequence showing Goku in different fight poses plays, letting a new viewer get the impression that he's a fighter despite the easygoing attitude you've seen him in the opening so far. You'll have to see it. This is the kind of shot that is efficient with what it does. Stills and timing give it energy with the right soundtrack behind it. It's a simple and great choice, so they can focus on what the rest of the opening is going for, grabbing you in for a journey that Goku is going on. Next over from when Goku teams up with his friends. Bulma and Oolong riding a bike together. Oolong makes Bulma feel very uncomfortable and Bulma slaps him off the bike. Again, this opening supports the show's vibe throughout the first saga really well. This is a repetitive gag throughout the show, and if you don't find it funny, like me personally, the opening lets you know what kind of humor you can expect without the need for sound or much screen time at all, which makes it a great choice for a shot considering how little screen time these two get in the opening. This is where my first suggestion comes in. Although up to this point the footage had matched the song really well, past this point the visuals start to not care about the song and are out of time or just don't match the lyrics flat out. It's quite annoying, considering that they have the shots in the video that would match the lyrics, just are completely out of time. Luckily, the dragon reveal has some good lyrics to fit him. The shot of Goku flying through the sky I'll give half credit for, but not having the camera pan down or have a shot of Goku swimming, which exists in the early episodes of OG Dragon Ball to match the line, and the sea below, is a big missed opportunity to break up the sky travel shot and give more energy and a new environment for the viewer to be excited by. I know they do break it up with Goku looking goofy, and that works, but why not have him looking goofy under the water? The visuals for such tight editing like the action poses earlier really feel like they are missing the clear times to cut away to keep the high energy the music is suggesting. The seize the day line here is great, but it's also out of time with the music quite a bit. The clearly better visual would have been to speed up this part so the light between the rocks matched that part of the song. I could let this slide if they wanted to cut to Goku actually joining his friends over the lyric, and they just wanted a one shot for the flex. But it just cuts to Goku flying into the black space from the start of the opening. I like this as a shot because it ties it to the first shot to some extent. This one hurts. Find the Dragon Ball is over the Great Ape. Now I give the opening credit because it doesn't show Goku transforming, and if you think about it, you'd wonder why Goku was missing from this shot, but it's not as dumb as most anime opens when it comes to spoiling things like that. But you have shots in this opening with the Dragon Balls traveling, and you can't be bothered to match that with the one time that boy belts his heart out directly over the Dragon Balls? Come on, people. Come on. You put Goku clashing with Yamcha this late over these lines? Why here? Why this late? Why over these lines? It's so odd. This pose of Goku works for the line, but we have seen the other shots in the opening that fit it way better. But it's acceptable, so I won't complain about it too much. And we end it with a classic freeze frame. I like the frame they chose to freeze on, but it's an odd song to freeze frame with. The singer is belting the highest they can, and the animation loses all of its energy when the song is climaxing. Overall, the song choice and the shot choices were correct choices for what they were going for. Some clear improvements can be made, but there was obviously a good amount of care that went into the opening, and like I mentioned before, it does set you in the right headspace for an episode of early Dragon Ball. So if the opening was mostly supposed to put you in the headspace of Goku, the outro is for sure about Bulma's POV. The opening shot of her sitting inside listening to music while it rains outside is a classic way to show a character wanting to explore or do other things, but something that's keeping them from doing so. We know from the show that she doesn't feel whole by herself. She desires a boyfriend.
If I keep this up, I'll be able to wish for a boyfriend by the end of the month! This is so exciting!
The second shot works on a few levels. I'm a big fan of this style of outro, which builds off of the opening's premise. The opening started with the dragon was passing by the sun, and showing us the logo with the dragon by the sun, as well as the dragon in the flames. The opening used a few shots of the sun with Goku, and they didn't do that for anybody else. Your first time seeing Goku would be with Goku with the sun next to him. The song makes this pretty clear to me. So if you don't want to explicitly tie this with Goku, it's pretty clear based off the first shot of the opening, the connection between the call to adventure in general and the sun. To me, the line couldn't get home more with this version of Goku. That and the song literally mentions a second person. Good stuff by itself, and even better when you take the ending as a sister piece to the opening. The song ends up feeling like Bulma's arc line by line, but the video ends up shifting the meaning of the words to fit her even better, without spoiling you outright. The last time I had a feeling like this while watching a show's opening was from the show Peacemaker. This is literally Bulma's plot hook. It's what the show is loosely centered around. Another hint for this is the Dragon Radar being brought up in the shot. The next couple lines still work in a more general way, but we still have good matching footage for those lines. So if you haven't seen the original Dragon Ball, this line might not hit that hard for you, but this is why I think this song selection for her is so spot on. She ends up granting her own wish, in a sense, because she gets her boyfriend without the wish. The footage is passable because it gives us the feeling of travel and exploring, but they don't match perfectly. This next shot is perfect. See, without this shot, we might think the scener is still talking about Goku for the romance line, but since it's the whole cast, it diffuses the meaning for the video. Repeat viewers know which person this song is referring to. The funny thing though is every guy but Goku, which the song was referring to earlier, is interested in Bulma at some point in the show's first 28 episodes. So unless you want to think of romance as something less literal, which that reading works, but if you want to keep the literal meaning of romance, the shot does a good job not spoiling who Bulma will choose for herself as a love interest. And as the music builds, Bulma gets ready to leave her house as the rain stops. I'm really liking these videos as a pair. Overall, I think the outro is much better because it doesn't have nearly as many B-roll issues. One of the selling points for early Dragon Ball is its comedy. This has to be the biggest mixed bag in terms of quality, in terms of the craft. There is at least one comedic moment that the show would do better by cutting. Why do I say this? Because if you have your stakes around your first two climaxes being ruined by a gag, even if you get to laugh at the moment, you run the risk of active viewers being pulled out of the show. It also shows a clear lack of care in your planning, and will give your active viewers the impression that they are punished for getting invested. Before I do that though, let me show you a few moments where the humor in the show manages to do a few things at once. One that quickly gives the characters around Goku a sense of who he is. The joke is a simple one. I'm sure anyone that's been online has seen the Office meme, which has the same principle. The old, "that's the same photo" in the Office bit. After finding Roshi and asking for his help in his training, Roshi gives Goku a task to accept him as a student. To find a pretty woman for Roshi to date. As a kid with no life experience, you would expect this would be the hard part. You know, convincing a woman that he's never met before, to meet a man they've never met before, on a secluded island. But Goku actually convinced more than one woman to do so. Just being able to detect the difference in the common person's beauty standards has proved to be the actual difficult task for him. Which brings us to the joke that I brought up earlier. After failing the first time to bring Roshi a woman that suits his taste, Roshi brings up 2 photos. The difference between the two from the common man's taste is pretty clear, and Goku can't even understand the difference. This leaves Roshi shocked. The reason this joke doesn't just not hurt potential investment from a viewer, but can actually help him pull them in, maybe isn't clear at first. But on top of being able to quickly let Roshi know what kind of person Goku is, set up a hook for the rest of the episode, and keep Goku in character. That's a lot for like 10 seconds of screen time. It also asks the viewer, on the download, what kind of woman Roshi would accept that would be willing to be stuck out here with him. Roshi didn't just outright date a mermaid, even though she was giving him the feels from like yards away.
Which one of these is prettier?
I like both.
What are you, a saint?
Well, it turns out a criminal is the person they find, so you would think that would be a problem, because why would Goku bring her? And how would she ride the cloud? Well, it turns out she has a second personality. Now here's the thing I think most fans know of. The rabbit. That dumb rabbit scene. It always stuck out at me, and I was hoping that I would be able to find a reason to justify it.
I took him to the moon.
But it's just not possible. This dumb rabbit scene of Goku putting them on the moon with the power pole hurts my everything. It would have been so easy to think of another comedic way to deal with him. But having Goku look at the moon, which ends up being how Goku kills his grandpa Gohan, escaping Pilaf, the guy that gave him his first clean loss, and allowing Goku to not quit his fight with Roshi later. All for this dumbass scene. It hurts so much. Ideally would have Goku bring up a casual conversation about how he wished he could use the moonlight to hunt, or talk about how he doesn't remember what the moon looked like. Don't show him actually breaking the rule. But other than that, there are some minor issues with the jokes they use. They have Goku give us a joke like this one.
Is this what he means?
1 and 2 and 2.
Whoa! Why does he keep his food in this box?
See, Goku had been traveling with Bulma for at least weeks, more likely months. Goku not being shown where the food comes from when Bulma had been trying to get Goku to stop eating wild-caught food is weird. Really weird, but since we don't actually have a scene of it happening, it's defanged to some level. If you still wanted that punchline, you could have him remember what fridges are after he eats. The last joke we'll be going over is another good example. It's the pig oolong.
Like a harem with 300 girls.
Golly, why would you want to have 300 girls?
Huh? How's that, kid?
Well, can you imagine what it would be like having 300 Bulmas to listen to?
Until this moment, he wanted to use the wish to grant himself a harem of beautiful women. Even in his introductory episode, he was going through complex schemes to build one. However, in this joke, Goku asks why he would want 300 Bulmas, and Oolong cracks wise later into the episode.
Yeah. Come to think of it, maybe 300 girls is a few too many, little buddy.
So what did this do? Well, for one, it works off of his perspective of Bulma. 2, he has every right to feel that way considering the whole pill situation. 3, it impacts his character going forward. Oolong had his chance for this wish, and he didn't decide to go for it. Which is good because although it sounds like a simple wish, that's within his character. Do you want to introduce 300 new characters? How would the dragon do this? Create 300 beings? Mind control 300 women? Magically scan all the women in the world and pick out the ones that would be just accepting of this kind of thing? And for Oolong? We don't need these kind of questions, so changing Oolong's desire for this ahead of time was smart. The first arc loosely revolves around the group gathering the Dragon Balls. From what we have seen, neither Bulma or Goku could have collected the Dragon Balls as fast as they did together, as well as how they gathered their allies required both of them at different times. Even though Goku is the main character, Goku's actually the one that was recruited for Bulma's journey. The setup works well. Bulma uses her radar, which leads her to Goku. Goku's not willing to part with his Dragon Ball because he believes it contains his grandpa's will. So since Bulma doesn't have a way to take it from him, and because Goku is pure-hearted, her go-to move of using her beauty doesn't work on him. Bulma had 2 Dragon Balls for herself before meeting Goku. So despite being shown to have 0 combat experience from the beginning, we are shown her resourcefulness. Even if we were to give Goku the radar by himself, there was no way Goku was getting the Dragon Ball and Nimbus from Roshi, and we know there's no way Goku was beating Roshi at that time. Goku's attitude of helping peoples for the sake of helping people, opened the door. Bulma's willingness to play into Roshi's request is what got them that Dragon Ball. The village Oolong was terrorized and held another Dragon Ball. Bulma's receptacle mindset opened up the door this time, and Goku's combat ability got them this Dragon Ball. Oolong only stuck around long enough for Goku to befriend him because Bulma pulled that pill trick on him.
Hey! Hey, Oolong! What's the matter, little piggy? You know that vitamin I gave you? It's really a pill that makes you have to go squatty potty anytime someone makes the piggy sound. You're not going anywhere.
And we might as well wrap up the other allies now. Bulma's beauty and playfulness is what got Yamcha's foot in the door, which was set up into the show earlier on. Yet what binds the group is the shared experience of fighting their way through the castle, and Goku providing the buffer room to let Yamcha get used to her. And what finally gets them into that relationship is that shared experience and clear-headed feeling that some people go through after facing death, which Goku was the source of, sort of. The last Dragon Ball more belongs to Goku than Bulma. Bulma's attitude of going in and taking what you want actually got them into the fight with Yakusuke, and Goku was not going to win that fight at that point in the series. Goku's connection to Roshi and Grandpa Gohan is actually what bought them time to talk, but Goku had to promise a date with Roshi to get his help. So although the last one was gathered with both of them still, it mostly belongs to Goku. Goku's group finally meets their match because of their home court advantage. They get outsmarted and outmuscled. All the Dragon Balls they've gathered to that point were stolen. Even when they were granted a free escape attempt, they couldn't manage to find a way out before they were cornered again. Goku's group were all about to die due to this pinball machine. If not for Pilaf's pettiness, it would have surely killed Bulma, Oolong, and Puar. Chances are high, even if Goku and Yamcha survived, it could hit them again and again until they did die. This was shown when Goku failed to stop it the first time. Now, what kind of person is that petty? Someone that petty is on another level. But here's the thing.
Balls, you don't!
Uh-oh. Please let me go, sire. I didn't do anything.
Are you saying that I would be capable of such a gross omission? I'm afraid the time has come to trim the staff a bit.
Don't chop me up. I admit it, sire. I did it. I proved it. I fought it. I passed gas. Guilty as charged. Woo-hoo. Don't let out a stinker.
We know he is that type of petty, and someone who enjoys hurting others. So even though I'd rather this wouldn't be the way they live to see another day, the show does justify it well.
I hope you're enjoying your accommodations because I personally designed the cell you're in. I call it my Easy Bake Office. I wanted to see how hot I could make a room by absorbing all of the sun's rays. It's pleasant in there now, but just wait until the sun comes up. Then get ready to broil. I'm going to roast you alive.
He had every reason to believe this way of killing him would work. If not for the ass pull the show does, he would have had his revenge. It would have been better if Pilaf was known to throw people that he hated a lot into that room beforehand. The room existing as it does suggests this, but since the amount of reasons to leave a person with a window to the sky is pretty limited to just this reason, and he could have chosen to kill them in any other painful ways, and actually keep an eye on them while he does it, as he doesn't seem to be the most patient type of person. To improve the writing is a simple fix, like they did for his motive. Have him threaten his minions with that room where prisoners learn to hate the sunrise. Play it off as a pun in that scene. Now it's going to always feel like it was always going to play out like this. Actually tease the great ape along the way, and it would be something that would reward active viewers. How do you tease it without ruining the surprise? Well, first thing is first. Remove that rabbit scene, but otherwise, show the moon as an establishing shot, have Bulma complain about Goku coming in late and waking her up. You could put it like he couldn't make it home in time because he just refused to travel when the moon is out, or have him complain about some animals stealing his clothes while he slept. Before we move on to the next arc for our review here, I just want to give the show credit for the decision to make the Great Ape the reason for Goku wanting to improve. Goku has seen other crazy feats of strength before, but seeing the aftermath of what him losing control gives him the reason to want to improve.
But Goku, you're the strongest kid I know.
Yeah, but when I hit that castle, it didn't even shake. So if someone else can come along and tear the whole thing down, I really need to go and train.
What are you talking about, Goku? You're the one who destroyed...
He has set himself as the benchmark. So to keep this video relatively short, I'll jump into the tournament and work in examples from before where needed. So after Goku received training from Roshi, his two different friend groups meet. We see them do their qualifying matches. Goku's opponent isn't even really worth being used as a measuring stick. Right now they just want the viewer to feel like his training was worth it, since a lot of Goku's time in training was just used to make Roshi money, stated by the man himself. Krillin beats up one of the guys that used to bully him, even while being deadly afraid of him, and very easily, showing his growth in terms of strength, even if we actually haven't seen the bullying happen from beforehand. The show puts Yamcha versus a real Wolfman, who he beats, showing that he's leagues above what inspired his main attack. Oh, and the spice in this whole thing, Jackie Chun. Most, if not all, viewers should know who this is, even before the show confirms it. The show doesn't pretend to the viewer that this isn't Roshi, but they play up this cat and mouse game between him and Yamcha, which fits Dragon Ball's style of humor. Goku canonically doesn't have a thing for faces either, so it works despite how silly it is to us. Krillin versus Bacterion. This whole thing's a pretty big waste of time. This also retroactively makes the whole Goku beats up the police a problem with the world building. Back then, Krillin and Goku didn't have any in-universe acknowledged unique traits. Sure, Krillin himself didn't touch the cops, but he was there when Goku beat them up after riding a cloud. They clearly saw Krillin, and apparently in Dragon Ball logic, he'd even have a nose, which is crazy enough to shock even him. Now we're supposed to accept that one of, if not the most wanted criminals' escape wasn't put into the record. Sketches, camera footage, detailed accounts didn't happen. Even if you wanted to let Goku's assault slide legally, questioning needs to be on the table. With just a little bit of planning and foresight, this didn't need to be a problem. The idea of having a really smelly person weaponizing it to fight is actually pretty funny and disgusting. I've heard stories when I was being taught chess about people not grooming themselves or showering for just matches in the park for a few $100. So this is really believable as a tactic for such a large cash prize online, outside the damage to the previous episode. The way he overcomes this works well for Krillin. Him realizing it was all in his head builds upon his other notable battle with his bully. At first he had no frame of reference for what the average fighter was capable of anymore. His only reference points were Goku and Roshi, and although Krillin beat the bully hard, it would have been faster if Krillin had already dealt with his butterflies. So when Goku tells him about this nose situation, and he stops letting it affect his mindset, it works. Copying him and using his own smell to beat him was a nice touch, since it fits Krillin's character at this point. Jackie Chun versus Yamcha. This is a great textbook case for easy to understand power scaling for the casual viewer. At one point, Yamcha was at least a notable rival of sorts to Goku, but based on how easy it was for Krillin and Goku to qualify versus Yamcha, his credibility as a real threat was waning, but Goku still recognized them as strong in general. So Jackie dodges everything Yamcha throws at him, and he beats him without even striking him. He creates a gust of wind through just sheer strength, and knocks him out of bounds. A great way to build tension for fights going forward. Before the fight, we see Jackie has the ability to read people's minds. Important for later. We get his motivation for fighting. And it's clear if he didn't have such a strong will from his desire to save his people, he most likely would have lost this fight. Although he was clearly the better straight-up fighter, Ranfan was no pushover and had yet another unique strategy in this tournament. She plays into people's assumptions of typical women at first, playing their desire to protect or at least not harm people that they feel are clearly not ready for the fight. When this stops working on Nam, she changes into playing into her sexuality. This over-the-top nature of its display matches the display of Bacterion. Some people at high-level events will play into your desires for them in order to give them the edge. Not always sexual. Listen to this Michael Jordan story about him and Charles Barkley.
According to then Bulls assistant coach Johnny Bach, Mike took Charles golfing and gave him a $20,000 diamond earring. When asked why he had done this against his main competitor, Mike supposedly replied, "He won't get in my way the rest of the series. Charles thinks we're great friends."
And as a thought experiment, if we were to shuffle the fights around a bit, there's a chance that with the right arrangement, she would have won the whole tournament based off of this tactic.
I guess it's a good thing I didn't get matched up with her after all.
It would have been easy for this to be the end of the character after she loses, and it nearly was. But they decided to give one major role to her first. She's the one that finds Goku asleep and tells everyone where he is. Between this and the scene with Jackie earlier, it's clear that she was just a very serious fighter and competitor.
May I ask what the lipstick is for, sweetie?
Let's say it's for guys like you.
Oh, well, my name's Jackie Chun. Perhaps you and I can have some coffee.
Sorry, but my attention is on someone else.
This is a strong point for this tournament. They are purposely going over the top with these little mind games that high-level competitive people will do to trip each other up. This is the weakest fight in my opinion. Although the questionable refereeing can be explained based off a quote in the Jackie-Goku fight, the growing on the tail is a bridge too far into luck. Were we told it would grow back? Yes. Is it enough to excuse such a lucky timing without any extra signs of it beforehand? No, not even a little. This fight for sure feels like an early draft compared to the other fights we've got so far. Can we headcanon stuff to try and help with this? I guess, but if I missed any actual reason why it grows here up to this point of the series, let me know, because this is just crazy lazy writing as it stands to me. I'm going to try to keep this section a little bit more brief. This is another great example in general to super casual viewers for power scaling. It lets even them know that there is a clear difference between these two and everyone that didn't make it so far, adding credibility to both characters going forward. They even had to stop the fight to explain what happened to the crowd.
Your movements are so fast that nobody could see what happened. Would you mind explaining it to us?
Sure, why not? Yes, the fans paid good money for their tickets, so they have a right to know.
It's both funny and useful. Late into the fight, Krillin plays into Roshi's pervy nature, keeping Krillin's sneaky nature intact. We also get to see some creative usage for Jackie's powers. It's a good fight all around. Goku is just a better fighter, just a straight up brawl. It does show us hints of Goku's creativity when it comes to fighting. Okay, final match. Jackie Chan versus Goku. The fight is filled with Roshi just dealing with Goku's in different ways, and Goku eventually dealing with those answers. They are very closely matched. Goku should have lost here if not for Bulma interfering and helping Goku wake up from the hypnosis.
Now just count to 10, will you?
But just think of how the fans are going to react if we end the tournament this way. Kind of anticlimactic, you know?
Goku should have lost another time. Goku should have had to tap, but for the full moon.
Okay, Beast! Kamehameha maximum power!
Oh no! Jackie thinks he has to kill Goku to stop him!
The tension of when Jackie fired that Kamehameha. Having Roshi never on screen learn about the Great Ape form was really smart. He noted that he couldn't let Goku kill anyone. Goku had killed Grandpa Gohan by mistake in the past.
Wait!
And the reactions from the group were treated very seriously. Roshi drained himself to protect everyone from Goku. And this is a great way to confirm that Roshi was in fact the new goal to surpass, and not his old Great Ape form. Despite all the favors Goku is granted, he still loses. Although Roshi baited him into a clash he knew that he would benefit from because of his reach advantage, Goku's naive nature cost him the win. Wrap-up time. Does Dragon Ball deserve its iconic status? So far, yes. This was a reasonably well-written story overall. If it stopped here, then it would be a very good story. We would have a great showing in comedy, power scaling, drama, characters, and not to mention it's a very good showing of a story where the main character isn't the protagonist for the first arc, and then having the main character pick up the role afterward. Will I keep going and reviewing more of Dragon Ball? I don't know. Let me know if you'd like to see me cover the next saga, or if I missed anything so far. There are a lot of small details that we can miss just because the show is so oddly simple. Thanks for watching. This was Dave from Relative Hype. Just a quick shout out. We do sometimes stream on Fridays or Saturdays on this channel, and I'll slowly be uploading highlights on the channel in the description.